My parents gifted my sister a lavish mansion and handed me an abandoned parking lot. You can always camp under the night sky, they sneered. But when I transformed it into a thriving enterprise, they came crawling back, demanding a cut. I should have seen through their dinner invitation. My parents never asked me over unless they had an agenda, usually to point out what a letdown I was. Still, I went, clinging to that foolish spark of hope that maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. I'm a mechanic by trade, nothing glamorous, but I'm skilled at it. I repair things, earn my keep, and stay out of trouble. My sister Emily, though, she's their golden child. Never held a proper job, always handed everything on a silver platter. She could torch their house, and they'd still find a way to pin it on me. So I walk into their house, and Emily's already there, sipping wine like she's royalty. Dad's at the table, skimming the newspaper. Mom's fussing in the kitchen, avoiding my gaze as much as possible. Wow, Emily smirks. You actually showed up, took a break from fixing cars? I ignore her and take a seat. Mom had said it was urgent. Dad finally sets his paper down. It is, we've decided to split our estate. Emily's eyes light up. She knows she's getting something grand. Mom beams at her. We're giving you the coastal villa, darling. Emily gasps, hand on her heart like she's accepting an award. The one in Monterey? Mom nods. Yes, dear, it's all yours. I sit there, waiting. Surely there's something for me too, right? Dad turns to me, face blank. And you, Logan, you get the parking lot. Silence, I blink. The what? The vacant lot on 8th Street, Mom says, waving it off like she's doing me a favor. It's property. Do something with it. Emily bursts into laughter. That's priceless, she smirks at me. Well, at least you'll have a spot to sleep under the stars, Dad chuckles. That lot's been empty for ages, but who knows, maybe you can set up a hot dog cart. Mom sighs. Logan, you're always saying you want to build something. Here's your shot. I stare at them. This wasn't even a veiled insult. It was outright trash. A memory hits me at 16, coming home covered in oil from my first job at the garage. I was so proud, clutching my first paycheck, eager to show them I was working hard. Emily was lounging on the sofa, complaining about wanting a new car for her birthday. Dad didn't even glance at me. You're gonna smell like grease forever, huh? Mom shook her head. At least he's useful. Maybe he'll fix your car for free one day, Emily. She never needed to. They bought her a shiny new BMW that same week. And now, years later, nothing had changed. I take a deep breath and push away from the table. You're serious? Dad shrugs. Be thankful we're giving you anything. Emily snickers. Maybe one day you'll scrape together enough to buy a real place. They all start laughing like it's the funniest thing ever. I grip the chair so tightly my knuckles pale. But I don't shout, I don't argue, I just nod. Fine, Mom frowns. That's it, no thank you, I stand. Oh, I'll make something of it. I look at Emily. And when I do, don't come begging. She rolls her eyes. Sure, Logan. Can't wait to see what you do with a chunk of pavement. Dad mutters, always so dramatic. I walk out without another word. Fine, they thought they could crush me. I'd make that worthless lot into something they'd never expect. And when I did, they'd regret every snide remark. Standing in front of that parking lot, I stared at it like it was a cruel prank. Cracked asphalt, weeds sprouting through the gaps, a rusty sign barely hanging on. My parents didn't just screw me over, they laughed while doing it. Fine, they wanted me to crash and burn. I'd make them eat their words. The next day, I filed for permits to allow food trucks. If this was just a slab of asphalt, I'd make it a profitable one. Within a week, I had deals with top local food truck vendors. Tacos, burgers, coffee, even fancy vegan bowls for the trendy crowd. I borrowed a small sum, not from a bank, but from my boss at the garage, a guy who respected hard work. I used it to install lighting, tables, music, and signs to turn the place into something real. 3 weeks later, that dead lot was a bustling food court with live bands and lines stretching down the street. That's when things got interesting. About a month in, after the place blew up on social media, I saw her. Mom. She showed up in her designer coat, surveying the scene like she'd stepped into a landfill. I was checking supplies when she approached. So this is what you've done, she said, nose wrinkled at the crowd enjoying their meals. I didn't bother looking up. Yeah, you gave me garbage, so I made it work, she huffed, unimpressed. This isn't a real business, it's just a fad, right? I laughed. A fad that's outturning Emily's influencer gigs, her face twitched. And right on cue, Emily appeared around the corner. She froze, her usual smugness fading as she took in the scene. What is this? She snapped. Some kind of flea market? I grinned. It's called a successful venture, she scoffed. This is a joke, it's not real money, I gestured around. Then why are hundreds of people spending their fake money here every night? A few customers clapped. Emily's face flushed. Mom, do something, she whined. Mom cleared her throat. Logan, we're just worried. This doesn't seem sustainable. I raised an eyebrow. Sustainable, like the fully furnished beach house you handed Emily for nothing? Emily jumped in. You can't sell this. It's family property. I let out a sharp laugh. Oh, now it's family property? Funny, I didn't hear family when you were all mocking me. Her jaw tightened. This isn't fair, she snapped. You didn't earn this. I turned to face her. You're seriously saying that to me? Her confidence faltered. I'm just saying selling it would betray the family. I tilted my head. When you dumped it on me as a joke, that wasn't betrayal. Mom searched for words, then she found them. Well, she said cautiously, if this business is doing so well, maybe we should talk about a partnership. I stared at her, then laughed, loudly, so loudly that customers turned to look. You're joking, right? I asked. You ignored me, humiliated me, gave me nothing, and now that I've built something you want to share. Emily crossed her arms. It's family money now. I stepped forward, locking eyes with her. You got your share, I said icily. Deal with it. I turned my back on them and walked into my business, leaving them standing there, stunned. They thought they could break me, but I was just getting started. It began with a phone call. I was in my office, a repurposed shipping container at the edge of my thriving food truck park when my phone buzzed. Mom, I stared at the screen before rejecting the call. A minute later, another call, then another. I smirked. They wanted something. By now, my food truck park was the hottest spot in town. Live music, weekend festivals, VIP areas, influencers begging to get in. I was earning more in a month than I used to in a year at the garage. And suddenly, my family, who had ridiculed me, couldn't stop calling. A few days later, I was overseeing a delivery at the lot when I heard a voice that made my blood boil. Logan! I turned. Emily. She stood there, arms crossed, but she didn't look smug. She looked desperate. I raised an eyebrow. Wow, you actually came to the parking lot. Car trouble? She huffed. I need to talk. I glanced at my watch. 5 minutes. Go, her jaw tightened, but she swallowed her pride. I need to sell the beach house. I blinked. The same beach house you bragged about? She ignored that. The market's bad and I need cash fast. I smirked. What, too many luxury trips and designer purses? She stiffened. It's complicated, she muttered. Just say you'll help. I leaned against a food truck, arms crossed. Help how? She hesitated. I need $200,000 to clear debts before I can list it. I whistled. Ouch, tough luck. I waved over the delivery driver. Anyway, good luck. She grabbed my arm. Are you serious? You have the money. I pulled away. Oh, now my business is real enough for you to beg. Her face reddened. Logan, we're family. I laughed. Funny, last time we talked you called me a joke. Where's that attitude now? She opened her mouth, then closed it. I'll pay you back, she said quietly. Please. I stared at her for a long moment, then leaned in. No, her eyes widened. No, I smiled. That's right, the same no you mom and dad gave me when I needed help. The same no you laughed in my face with. She stepped back, stunned, then her anger surged. You're going to let me fail? I shrugged. Not my problem. And I walked away, but it wasn't over. A week later, I pulled into my lot and saw my parents standing there. Mom looked annoyed. Dad looked drained. Logan, Mom began, we need to talk. I sighed. Let me guess. Emily ran to you crying, and now you're here to reason with me. Mom pursed her lips. This is serious. Dad spoke up. We need your help, son. I raised an eyebrow. Son? Oh, now I'm your son again? Mom sighed. Your father's business is struggling. We're in financial trouble. I bit back a grin. Oh, so the family that gave my sister a mansion and me a slab of concrete is in trouble? Shocking. Mom's nostrils flared. Don't be immature, Logan. I tilted my head. Immature, like mocking someone when they're struggling? Dad groaned. We don't need a lecture, we need a loan. There it was, the moment I'd been waiting for. I rubbed my chin. How much? Mom swallowed. 500,000, I laughed. No way, 500,000, Dad nodded, weary. You're doing well now, you can afford it. I crossed my arms. Oh, so now I'm doing well? Mom snapped. Don't be a brat, Logan, we're your family. I let that linger, then I smiled. Let me tell you about family. I stepped closer. Family doesn't mock you when you're down. Another step. Family doesn't treat you like a punchline. One more. Family doesn't show up only when they need cash. Mom paled. Dad muttered, Logan, please. I shook my head. You made your choices. I gestured to my lot, my success, my empire, and I made mine. I stepped back. I'm not giving you a penny. Mom gasped. You ungrateful child. I held up a hand. No, we're done. I turned to leave. Logan, Dad called. If you walk away. I paused, turned back. Walk away like you walked away from me? Silence. I nodded. That's what I thought. and I left them standing there. My revenge wasn't just saying no. It was ensuring they saw me triumph. I thought I'd made my point clear. No money, no help, no second chances, but people like my parents and Emily, they don't take no for an answer. And sure enough, they came back with a vengeance. It started small, negative reviews online. I was on my phone when I saw the first one, 1 star. This place is overhyped, food's pricey and the owner's rude, stay away. Then another, 1 star, horrible experience. Unprofessional staff and the place smells like trash. And another, 1 star. Don't support this business, the owner's a selfish jerk who doesn't care about family. I chuckled. Nice try, Mom. She always played the victim, toss you under the bus, then act like the wounded party. I could picture her in the kitchen, furiously typing fake reviews between sips of her fancy wine. But they didn't stop there. A few days later, a city inspector showed up. Anonymous complaint, he said, almost apologetic. Someone reported your permits might not be in order. I nodded. Let me guess. A middle-aged woman and her entitled daughter. He scratched his head. Can't say who filed it, but you seem to know. I knew exactly who. Then another complaint came about my seating area supposedly violating space rules. Then one about noise. Then another about food safety. They were trying to bury me in legal nonsense, drown me in fines, kill my business before it could grow bigger. But I'm not that easy to crush. Instead of panicking, I fought back. I hired a lawyer. Every permit, every license, every regulation was triple-checked and airtight. The inspector even admitted there was nothing wrong. I ramped up marketing. If they wanted to ruin my reputation, I'd drown them in positivity. I hosted special events, giveaways, live shows. I invited local influencers to VIP tasting nights. I expanded. If they thought I was a problem before, they hadn't seen anything yet. I leased the lot next door for an outdoor beer garden. I teamed up with local artists for weekend craft markets. Their sabotage became free publicity. And business, it exploded. Then Emily made her biggest mistake. It was a Saturday night, the busiest of the week. The air hummed with music, laughter, and the aroma of fresh tacos. Lines stretched around the lot. The place was packed. That's when I heard shouting near the entrance. This place is a scam, I turned. Emily, drunk, her hair was disheveled, makeup smeared, her designer dress wrinkled like she'd been crying in her car. Mom was behind her, tugging her arm. Emily, stop! This isn't... Emily yanked away. I can't believe you think you're better than us, she screamed. Look at you, a mechanic playing tycoon. Customers turned, phones out. I smiled. Perfect. I walked toward her, voice steady. Emily, get out. She stumbled closer. You think you're a big deal now? You're nothing. I smirked. I don't think it, I know it. Her face twisted in fury. You're worthless, Emily screamed, and then splash, I didn't see it coming. She'd snatched a drink from a nearby customer's table and flung it at me. A wave of icy beer soaked my shirt. The entire lot fell silent. A moment later, 2 of my security team pinned her to the ground. The crowd gasped and murmured. Mom shrieked, "Let her go, she's your sister." I brushed off my drenched shirt and nodded to my head of security. Call the police. Emily's eyes widened in panic. What? No, Logan, stop. I knelt down, keeping my voice low. Actions have consequences. 10 minutes later, flashing red and blue lights lit up the lot. Mom was frantic. You're ruining our family's reputation, she wailed. I laughed. You managed that just fine without my help. Emily, sobbing and pleading, was escorted to the back of a police car. She looked like I had all those years ago when they mocked me, but unlike them, I felt nothing. Mom turned to me, voice trembling. She's your sister, do something. I crossed my arms. Oh, like you did something when you gave me a worthless lot and laughed in my face? She had no response. I turned back to my customers. Oh, I called over my shoulder, hope that beach house was worth it. And I returned to my flourishing business. They wanted to see me fail. Now they had a front row view of my triumph. After Emily's drunken outburst and arrest, I thought they'd finally get the hint. I was wrong. A week later, Mom and Dad showed up at my business again. This time, no smirks, no laughter. They looked desperate. I was in a meeting with my event coordinator when I spotted them lingering near the entrance, awkward and out of place. For years, I'd been the one feeling small around them, never good enough, never valued. Now, I held the power. I wrapped up my meeting, made them wait a bit longer, then strolled over, arms crossed. Back again? I said, voice casual. Let me guess, Emily sent you because she's too ashamed to face me. Dad cleared his throat. We need to talk, Logan. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, like the talk where you mocked me, handed me a piece of junk, and gave Emily a mansion. Mom's lips tightened. This isn't about the past, I chuckled. Oh, it's all about the past. If you hadn't treated me like garbage, you wouldn't be here begging. Her eye twitched, but she forced a composed look. We're in trouble, I already knew. Emily had burned through her credit cards trying to maintain her perfect image. Her beach house was facing foreclosure after she refinanced it multiple times to fund her influencer lifestyle. Dad's company was hemorrhaging money, the economy had tanked, and his trusted partners had abandoned him. They were drowning, and I was their only lifeline. Dad sighed. Logan, we're family. Family helps each other. I burst out laughing. That's rich. You didn't care about family when you screwed me over. Now that you're broke, suddenly it's about family? Mom stiffened. You have more than enough to help us. Why are you being so vindictive? I stepped closer, voice low. Vindictive? No, vindictive would be me buying your house just to evict you. Their eyes widened. Dad's face paled. You wouldn't, I smirked. Wouldn't I? Because here's the thing, I'd been waiting for this. After Emily's meltdown and their petty attempts to sabotage me, I knew they'd come crawling. So I'd planned ahead. While they were sinking in debt, I'd been acquiring property, expanding my empire. And guess what? Their house, their childhood home, was on the market, and I'd bought it. Mom's face drained of color. No, she whispered. You're lying. I pulled out my phone, scrolled, and showed them the email confirmation. Property purchase confirmed, I read. Dad's hands trembled. You bought our house, he croaked. I tilted my head. You mean the house you said wasn't my home anymore? The one where you let Emily treat me like trash? Mom grabbed my arm. Please, Logan, we'll do anything. Don't take our home. I pulled away. Now you know what it feels like to lose something. She started crying, but I felt nothing. Then the final strike. I looked at them and took a slow breath. You know what? I said calmly. I'm not cruel. I'll let you keep the house. Mom gasped. You will? Dad exhaled shakily, relieved. I smirked. Sure, on one condition. They nodded eagerly. Anything. I pulled out a pen and a contract I'd already prepared. You can live in it, but I own it, and you'll pay me rent every month, no excuses. Mom's jaw dropped. Logan, you can't mean that, I leaned in. Oh, I'm dead serious. Dad swallowed hard. How much? I named the price. Steep, very steep. Fair for the market, but high enough to make them feel it every month. Mom's face twisted in disgust. You're charging us to live in our own home, she spat. No, I said with a grin. I'm charging you to live in my asterisk home. Silence. Dad exhaled. We don't have a choice, do we? I shrugged. Sure you do. There are plenty of cheap motels around. Mom glared, but she knew she was defeated. Slowly, with shaking hands, Dad signed the contract. Mom grabbed the pen, jabbing it into the paper so hard I thought it would rip. When they were done, I folded the contract neatly and tucked it into my pocket. Pleasure doing business, I said, turning away. Dad slumped against the wall, rubbing his face. Mom wiped her tears, her expression pure humiliation. They'd spent their lives belittling me, mocking me, treating me like I was nothing. Now, I own their home, I own their future, I own them. As I walked back into my asterisk business, I smiled. They thought I'd amount to nothing. Now I had everything, and they had nothing.